The Senate will come to order. Members, please stand for the prayer. Today we'll take a moment for silent prayer and reflection. And following that time, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Secretary will take the roll.
Senator Abler, Anderson B., Anderson P., Bach, Benson, Bigham, Carlson, Chamberlain, Champion, Clausen, Cohen, Swazinski, Dames, Dibble, Draheim, Dietzig, Eaton, Eichorn, Eakin, Franz, Friends, Gazelka, Goggin, Hall, Herr, Hayden, Hoffman, Housley, Howe, Ingebrigtsen, Isaacson, Jasinski, Jensen, Johnson, Kent, Kiffmeyer, Klein, Coran, Lane, Lang, Latz, Limmer, Little, Marty, Matthews, Miller, Nelson, Newman, Newton, Osmic, Pappas, Pratt, Rarick, Ralph, Rest, Rosen, Rude, Senjum, Simonson, Sparks, Tomasoni, Torres Ray, Utke, Weber, Westrom, Uyghur, Wickland.
A quorum is present. Pursuant to Rule 14.1, the following members intend to vote under Rule 40.7. Senators Anderson B., Carlson, Clausen, Dames, Eaton, Frentz, Hall, Hayden, Klein, Lane, Lang, Latz, Little, Marty, Newman, Newton, Rest, Senjum, Sparks, Torres Ray, and Wickland. Members will begin on the Senate agenda today with the third order of business, messages from the House. The Secretary will read the messages.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following Senate files herewith returned. Senate file numbers 2466, 4073, 3357, 3298. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
There is no action required on those messages. Moving to the fifth order of business, reports of committees. Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee report printed in the agenda be adopted.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. We will take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Continuing on the agenda with the seventh order of business, second reading of House bills, the Secretary will read the House file number.
House File Number 4490.
Second reading. Moving to the eighth order of business, introduction and first reading of Senate bills listed in today's introduction calendar. Our Senate file numbers 4612 through 4617. These Senate files are given their first reading and referred as indicated. Moving to the ninth order of business, motions and resolutions. We have a couple of authors' motions listed in the agenda. We'll take these authors' motions as one motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. We will take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations.
Just a reminder, just to move a moment of silence after that. He's going to ask for that, right?
Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. The Secretary will read Senate Resolution number 233.
Senator Gazelka and Kent introduced Senate Resolution Number 233, a Senate resolution commemorating the lives and work of deceased senators.
Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate Resolution number 233 be adopted.
On that motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Senator Gazelka, do you want to discuss the motion or wait till after we vote? And
Should read.
okay, why don't you go ahead and read the resolution before we vote? The Secretary will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 233, commemorating the lives and work of deceased senators. The honorable members William Belanger, Jr., Dwayne D. Benson, Steve Dill, Harold R. Skip Thin, Donald Frazier, Mel Frederick, Rollin Glowy, Dolores J. Canuck, Richard Palmer, George F. Perpich, Donald A. Storm, Gene Waldorf.
Senator Gazelka renews his motion to adopt Senate Resolution number 233. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. We will take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Senator Gazelka?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to have a brief moment of silence for our senators here.
Members, please stand for a moment of silence. You may be seated. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that House File numbers 4599 and 4601 be taken from the table and given a second reading.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. We will take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. The Secretary will read the House file numbers for their second reading.
House File numbers 4599 and 4601.
Second reading. Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that House File numbers 4499 and 4601 be laid on the table.
Senator Gazelka, just for clarity, I believe it's House file number 4599
Yep.
and House
yes,
file 4601.
That's correct.
On that motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Again, we will take a brief pause. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Continuing under motions and resolutions, Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bills be made special orders for immediate consideration. Members, the sheet is on your desk with 7 bills showing there.
Members, the first bill up for consideration is number 94 on general orders, Senate File 3683, Senator Anderson. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess we're going to the second bill that's listed on the list, number 92 on general orders, Senate File 3808, Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, members. This is the 2020 pensions bill, and before I get into this fairly technical administrative change to the state pension bill, I would like to thank our pension members on the Senate side. Senator Pappas, thank you for your work. Senator Senjum, Senator Limmer, Senator Dames, Senator France, Senator Jasinski. We're able, through some trying times with Zoom, we were able to get out a very good 2020 pension bill. So the first provision I'd like to just mention briefly, and I know Senator Pappas has some comments too, the MSRS provision that had some administrative and technical provisions in it. But one piece that we were able to accomplish was the unclassified plan grandfather provision, which permits individuals in the unclassified plan who terminate employment on or after July 1st of 2020 and before July 1st of 2021, they will have an actuarial assumption that is effective on June 30th of 2016. This extends a grandfather provision that was passed in 2017 and gives it more generous factors for one more year, and it will impact many legislative staff who are at least age 63 or have 26 years of covered service and are not yet ready to retire. These individuals would either have to retire by July 1st of 2020 or would have lost $23,000 in retirement benefits. The para provision also has some administrative technical provisions in it. And then it has some work done by the statewide volunteer firefighter plan administrative provision, basically changing the term volunteer statewide volunteer firefighter retirement to statewide volunteer firefighter plan. There's also a privatized medical facility provision with para. What's not in the para provision is and which was deleted out because there was some controversy over it, and it was not quite vetted through, was the privatized hospitals would have to have paid their withdrawal liability. So that was deleted from this bill. Also, the police and fire disability piece needs more work also. The state auditor's provision is also just some reporting requirements that are just ongoing every year. The TRA provision was also just administrative and technical provision. The piece that I think is notable and needs some attention and some kudos is the volunteer firefighters provision, something that the people that have been working on these work groups since 2018, and we finally have come to an agreement, and that's why it's so important that we have this 2020 this pension state plan bill. It
Members, if you have discussions, can you please take them outside the chamber? It's a little hard for me to hear Senator Rosen during her bill introduction here. So, members, if you have conversations, please take them outside the chamber. Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Abler. I couldn't hear myself think. But this is a very important piece. And like I said, the people that have been working on this deserve a lot of attention and kudos and thanks for all their hard work on this. The one piece I'd like to start off with is it increases the lump sum benefit amount. This is something that we've been working on for a very long time. It increases the maximum lump sum pension amount that is multiplied by years of service to compute lump sum benefits under a defined benefit relief association, and the maximum it is increased is from $10,000 to $15,000. There's also a piece in here for the allocation of a fire state aid, which allows municipalities with combination fire departments to allocate fire state aid to both their volunteer firefighters and their full-time firefighters if the municipality and the Relief Association agree to the allocation. Another 2018 fire state aid work group product. The volunteer firefighters dissolutions piece. Very proud of this piece, provides a process for the dissolution of a volunteer firefighter association and the distribution of any surplus. The Relief Association can increase the lump sum amount or monthly benefit amount to reduce any surplus and pay the surplus to the firefighters in the form of a larger retirement benefit. If there is a surplus remaining, the volunteer firefighter and the municipality must come to an agreement on how to split the remaining surplus. This language was also the result of the Conversions and Dissolutions Work Group that met after the 2018 legislative session. And this piece for Senator Anderson and 3 other volunteer firefighters or organizations is very important. The city of Plymouth is very happy and very active in this, so I'd like to thank their work on all this. The Volunteer Firefighters Association conversions piece, it authorizes our relief associations that are defined benefit relief associations to convert their defined benefit plan to a defined contribution plan and transfer the assets in the account to the new plan. The Brooklyn Park Firefighters Relief Association, Senator Hoffman's piece here, allows for the dissolution of the Volunteer Firefighter Relief Association affiliated with Brooklyn Park and termination of the retirement plan. Another, this language came out of the Conversions and Dissolutions Work Group that again met after the 2018 legislative session. Senator Benson's Ramsey Volunteer Firefighters Relief Association allows for the division of the Ramsey Firefighters Relief Association and transfers the retirement accounts of the firefighters assigned to the now then fire station to a new relief association. And members, I just want to again reiterate the fact that this is a non-controversial bill and agreed upon by all the members that have been mentioned. The State Auditor's Volunteer Firefighter Working Group includes the recommendations that they normally have from their work group, and they meet annually to address the issues that impact volunteer firefighter relief associations. So this is mostly technical and administrative. The State Board of Investment also has a piece in here that authorizes the State Board to invest in additional investment vehicles to lower investment costs and maximize returns. The St. Paul City and School District allows the city and the school district to continue making contributions to multi-employer plans for employees in the building and construction trades and excludes any new building trade employees from participation in para. Employees who are hired before July 1st, 2020 are grandfathered in and are able to receive contributions for both the multi-employer plan and para. And then one more piece in here is a session law for one individual. And it's a former firefighter employed at the City of Maplewood to purchase service credits under the para police and fire plan. With that, members, again, very, very good bill, 2020 pension bill. A lot of hands in it, a lot of work that's been ongoing for the last couple of years. And I am very pleased with this bill. There is no fiscal consideration attached to this bill. And I stand for questions and ask for your support.
Discussion on Senate File 3808, Senator Isaacson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would Senator Rosen yield for a question?
Senator Rosen will yield. Senator Isaacson.
Senator Rosen, this is not the area that I'm very versed in, but I know that we had some issues relating to the firefighters and the volunteer versus full-time and the pensions. And there was some controversy brewing there, and it sounds like what you said was the cities and the firefighting groups and the pension people that run the pensions are all in agreement on the changes you're making. I just want to confirm that's what I heard.
Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Isaacson, for the question. Perhaps I didn't really explain very well the various work groups that were that met after the 2018 legislative session that were in the bill. The Fire State Aid Work Group and the Conversions and Dissolutions Work Group. They met, and all the changes and everything that I have mentioned has come to agreement in those work groups. It's taken a couple of years to get everybody together, but very pleased with the outcome.
Senator Isaacson.
Thank you, Mr. And one more question, if Senator Rosen would.
Senator Rosen will continue to yield. Senator Isaacson.
So, thank you, Senator Rosen. I think I agree with you. I just want to make sure that I understand this so I can answer the question that I will invariably get asked down the road here. In those work groups, both the cities, the firefighters, recipients of the pension, everybody was engaged, as involved in those work groups. Is that correct?
Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Isaacson. Yes, absolutely. Everybody was engaged. Everybody has signed off on these provisions, and we are good to go.
Further discussion on the bill. Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Rosen, for continuing our very good bipartisan work that we've had over the last few years on the pension bill. This certainly is a lot less controversial than some of the bills we've had in the past, and as Senator Rosen mentioned, doesn't have any fiscal impacts. This is mostly regarding the work by the Volunteer Fire Relief Association working group, working under the auspices of State Auditor Blaha, various working groups, and I just wanted to commend them because they work very hard. The Conversions and Delusions Working Group, the Volunteer Fire Relief Association Working Group, the Fire State Aid Working Group, they work very hard for long hours, long days to build and to develop an entire consensus on everything they do. Can you imagine how hard it is to get everyone on the same page and everyone agreeing to these provisions? So this is kind of a super agreement bill in that everyone is certainly on board. The provision that Senator Rosen mentioned that was added in our pension Zoom meeting the other day really makes sure that we can keep some of our senior members at the legislature working throughout the pandemic and not being enticed to retire because of additional pension benefits. So by giving them another year extension, we can gradually ease out some of our potential retirees and not have 40 people leave suddenly on June 30th, which would be devastating to the legislature. So thank you for your consideration of all these provisions in our bill, and I urge a unanimous vote.
Any further discussion on the bill before we go to third reading? Okay. Members, the Secretary will give Senate File 3808 its third reading.
Senate File number 3808, a bill for an act relating to retirement.
Third reading. Final discussion on the bill. Senator Anderson.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I just rise to thank Senator Rosen and all the pension members for their work on this bill. I can't tell you how grateful I am on behalf of the City of Plymouth. There was a lot of work that went into helping the Relief Association for our Plymouth firefighters. It was a great work between the city and the firefighters. So I just, on behalf of my district and the City of Plymouth, thank you, Senator Rosen, for all your work.
Any final discussion on the bill? Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I guess I would like to just clarify for Senator Eychorn on his questions about all the cities. Apparently, the cities that Senator Eychorn are probably concerned with, and perhaps you've heard from Mr. Rice on this, but it's the volunteer plans that were managed by para are left out of the agreement. So these were just the ones that are managed, that aren't managed by para. So with that, I just wanted to clarify that because I guess I was just looking at the plans that would have been eligible in this bill. Thank you.
Senator Eychorn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, Senator Rosen, I appreciate that. You're right, and I'm like I said, this isn't my strong suit, so I wasn't even sure if I had the right question I was asking, and so I really appreciate you clarifying that, and I'm wondering if you just yield for one more question.
Senator Rosen will yield. Senator Eychorn.
As we're moving forward with this, I know that the firefighters in my area are interested in seeing some fixes to their language as well. Is that something we can see going on in the future? Are we working on that still, or is there something that's holding that up that I'm not familiar with? And maybe if you could comment on that, that'd be great.
Can you please repeat the
You
question,
bet.
Senator?
Sorry, I'll be much clearer. You're right that there are some language we need to get fixed for the firefighters in my area, and I'm just wondering if that's an ongoing process. Are we looking at that next year? Is there some holdup I'm not aware of that will cause that not to go through? And just get your thoughts on the prospects of fixing that in the future. Thank you.
Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. President and Senator Eychorn. Yes, there was actually a reference to Zeekman yesterday in when we were going through this omnibus bill, and we are constantly working on pension issues, and we had the commitment from the director from para that he will continue to work on it. These do take time, as you know, and many of these, Plymouth and ongoing, they take time. They take a couple of years. We've gotten to the point, but we are certainly going to continue to work on it. Thank you.
Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 3808. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 303, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 323, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 237, please come to the chamber to vote. And members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote. I will now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Hayden.
Senator Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I'll now be happy to. Members in the chamber, if you're having discussions, please exit the chamber. I will now call on Senator Gazelka to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Bruce Anderson votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and is titled agreed to. Members, the next bill up for consideration is number 94 on general orders, Senate File 3683, Senator Anderson.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Members, Senate File 3683 is the Office of Higher Education Agency Bill, which contains technical and non-controversial provisions proposed by the Office of Higher Education. I want to thank my minority lead on the Higher Education Committee and also all the committee members, but thank you to Senator Clausen for his help and work on this bill. Members, Article 1 updates language regarding various definitions, surveys, and programs to ensure they function as intended. Just kind of your average technical bill, policy fix bill for agencies, ensures the full inclusion of tribal communities in post-secondary policy making at the agency, and directs the office to set financial aid goals to assist low and middle income students afford college. Article 2 is a long overdue update to Minnesota College Savings Plan statutes to conform with federal law. With the changes in this bill, Minnesota statute will now accurately reflect how college savings accounts are administered by the Office of Higher Education. And then Article 3, members, takes the first steps towards empowering the Office of Higher Education to revoke a school's ability to operate in Minnesota when they engage in dishonest practices that hurt students. And this would be otherwise known as the Argosy Fix Bill. The Chamber and the committee did a lot of good work last year when the unfortunate situation of Argosy University hit and a lot of students were left out. So it was a long process to put this together. Again, this is the first step. This article represents a compromise that strikes a careful balance between authorizing excessive regulatory power and protecting students from bad actors. Given the arrival of Article 3 after the deadlines had passed and lack of stakeholder input, we were very concerned, I was very concerned, and many other members about the process at the point to rush this through. So we worked with the House, we worked with the Governor's Office and the Commissioner of Higher Education to develop this compromise. The work will continue in the interim for next session. So members, this is a good bill that is agreement with the Governor's Office, has agreement with the House, and I ask for your support.
Discussion on Senate File 3683. Seeing none, the Secretary will give Senate File 3683 its third reading.
Senate File Number 3683, a bill for an act relating to higher education.
Third reading. Members, is there any final discussion on the bill? Senator Isaacson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Anderson. I appreciate you bringing this bill forward. I think it's, by and large, an effective bill. It's going to get done what we need to get done. I think it did fall short in one area. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, and I realize there were some complicating realities to that, but this idea of how we're looking at the Argosy fix bill in all colleges that we don't have state regulation on necessarily. We need to be more thoughtful about that. I know that some of the plans put forward might have been a bit robust for our private nonprofit colleges. However, we need to be thoughtful about how we're going to protect our students down the road, especially when we see things like COVID and other things that cause radical changes to the landscape. So I hope in the future we will be definitely looking at that as we look at the next year and the next session, that we're able to address that issue and make sure that we're protecting our students regardless of what college they go to, for or nonprofit. Thank you.
Members, any final discussion on the bill? Senator Anderson.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Isaacson, for those comments. And I share your commitment to, I won't be here next session, but I would assume that you will be working on this, and other members that care deeply about our higher education system. And there is commitment. There's commitment. There always has been. It was a bit of a flawed process, not to anyone's fault. There's a lot going on. Once the report came out back in December, there are just circumstances, and when the proposal, the bill showed up in mid-April, there just hadn't been input. And in the midst of a global pandemic, the stresses that are on our higher education institutions is similar to what I discussed with our small businesses just 2 days ago. It's staggering. And members, I just hope as we all leave here after this session that you stay in close contact with your higher education institutions in your districts and the systems, and understand the pain and the struggles that they're going to face coming into the fall. They're already seeing some significant struggles already. The distant learning is a new challenge for our students, but this fall is projected to have a minimum of 10% declining enrollment. And if you just consider the international students that will be impacted and won't be able to get their visas or travel back and forth, that's an additional 10 to 15% in many of our institutions. So there's a lot of struggles with our institutions, public, non-public, and so this is a good first step. This is a good bill, and I appreciate it. But I really want to thank our committee members again, Vice Chairman Draheim, Minority Lead Clausen, Senators Abler, Cohen, Isaacson, Jensen, Miller, and Newton. I want to give a real special thank you to Tricia Elite, our committee administrator. She did fantastic work this session and on this bill particularly. Aaron Warnimi, my LA, and the Committee of Legislative Assistant, researcher Andrew Larson, Joan White and Hannah Grunwald, our nonpartisan staff, and Danny Elling, the Democrat research, all just a really good group to work with, and I'm very grateful. And then finally, I really want to thank Commissioner Olson, Nikki Oliver, Betsy Talbot, and others in the Office of Higher Education. They do fantastic work, and I've said it before. I said it during Commissioner Olson's confirmation floor speech a couple weeks ago. It seems like years ago. These are really good people doing really important work, and it's not a partisan organization. It's not a partisan agency. They're doing what they can for the institutions and for the students. So I thank you, and again, I ask for a green vote.
Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 3683. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 303, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 323, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 237, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote.
Shaking all over, man. Dr. Eichorn, how are you? Still assistant.
I will now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Hayden.
Senator Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I'll now call on Senator Benson to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Benson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report that Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. Senator Benson.
Mr. President, Senator Rosen votes aye.
Senator Rosen votes aye.
That completes my report, Mr.
All
President.
members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, the next bill up for consideration is number 63 on general orders, Senate File 3745, Senator Eichorn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for the opportunity to present Senate File 3745. It's a small bill for a township in my district in Itasca County, Harris Township. What this would do is authorize the addition of an unorganized territory into Harris Township. The reason this legislation is needed is because there is less than 20 eligible voters in that little unorganized area. Normally they would have to get 20 signatures to do that. There's only about 12 parcels in this little area, and the township is already maintaining the little section of road and such that is in this area. So that's why the legislation is needed. Both the Itasca County Board of Commissioners and the Harris Township Board have passed resolutions supporting this. So both of them already agree. So just a simple bill, and I would appreciate a green vote. Thank you. No amendment, Mr. President.
Any discussion on Senate File 3745? Senator Rude?
Mr. President, I believe Senator Rude was going to speak to the amendment that we're not planning to offer today.
Thank you, Senator Eichorn. Members, any other discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the Secretary will give Senate File 3745 its third reading.
Senate File Number 3745, a bill for an act relating to local government.
Third reading. Members, any final discussion on the bill? Senator Eichorn, any final comments?
No, thank you, Mr. President.
Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 3745. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 303, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 323, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 237, please come to the chamber to vote. And members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote. I will now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Hayden.
Senator Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I will now call on Senator Benson to report the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Benson.
Mr. President, Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Rosen votes aye.
Senator Rosen votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
There we go. And Senator Newman votes
Senator
aye.
Benson. Senator Newman votes aye. And Senator Benson, you mentioned Senator Rosen voted aye, correct?
My apologies, Mr. President. Senator Rosen votes aye.
Senator Rosen votes aye. Members, we're waiting just on a couple more members to come to the chamber to vote. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill up for consideration is number 45 on general orders, Senate File 3258, Senator Limmer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before we begin, I'd like to move the A3 amendment.
Senator Limmer, the clerk will report the amendment. The secretary will report the amendment.
Secretary Limmer, Senator Limmer moves to amend Senate File number 3258 as follows. Delete everything after the enacting clause and insert. This is the A3 amendment.
Senator Limmer, to your amendment.
Thank you, Madam President. The A3 amendment is a delete everything amendment. It's an amendment that reflects the compromise and the agreement between the 4 caucuses regarding this bill, as well as agreement by the governor's office regarding the collection of public safety bills included in this DE amendment. As I begin, I would like to introduce the first section, and that regards a provision introduced by Senator Clausen regarding the authority of conservation officers. The DNR recently requested that their conservation officers have the same authority as a police officer or law enforcement officer elsewhere in the state. In the event that they happen to see during their course of work someone that might be a violator of DWI law, we're giving them the authority to pull that vehicle over. Currently, they have that ability to do that on recreational vehicles and boats and snowmobiles, but not with a vehicle on an open road. So in this case, we're giving them the authority to issue DWI citations. It's important to give them this authority because oftentimes DNR officers are located in the rural area of our state, and if they did pull someone over for DWI, they did not have that authority to issue that citation, they would have to hold that driver on the side of the road and wait for another law enforcement officer to join them in order to issue that citation. That takes up valuable time, not only for the DNR officer, but of a lot of extra work for a traditional law enforcement officer. So we're moving in that direction. Section 2 is a bill that's been introduced by Senator Dietzig. This particular portion of the bill, also sponsored by the Department of Corrections, provides that feminine hygiene products for female inmates under general confinement would be supplied at no cost to those particular inmates. Now, I want you all to know that is the current practice, but we're making sure it goes into law in this particular provision. Another provision by Senator Dietzig changes the name of programming for American Indian programs in the Department of Corrections, changing simply the name from a counseling program to a cultural program, which actually reflects the actual subject matter of those programs in the Department of Corrections. Section 4 is another area that involves a Department of Corrections issue, the cost responsibility of juvenile confinement. Under current law, there are two conflicting statutes that govern the fiscal responsibility of confining juveniles in our state. The confinement of juveniles is centered at the Red Wing Juvenile Correctional Facility. The two bills, one requires all counties to be responsible for 100% of the cost, and there's another provision that says it's responsible only for 65% of the cost. This particular bill repeals the 100% of the cost for counties, and it recognizes counties are only responsible for 65%, the balance being taken up by the state of Minnesota. The fifth section in this particular bill is the prohibition of unmanned aerial vehicles, otherwise known as drones, over a prison facility. Drones are a relatively new technology in our society today, and we do not want drones flying over prisons. In the event that a person would do it, knowingly flying, just the mere idea of flying one over a facility would be subject to a criminal penalty of a misdemeanor. An enhanced penalty would apply, and it would be a gross misdemeanor for knowingly violating the general prohibition without consent while recording videos or photographs or attempting to introduce contraband into a prison facility. Section 6 is a provision introduced by Senator Latz. It modifies the requirements for certain non-criminal justice agencies to have access to the state's criminal justice communication network, also known as criminal background checks. There are allowances for non-criminal justice entities to seek that. Some businesses seek that opportunity. It allows that individual entity, we recognize it as a contractor. They have to have a secure network connection, and they would be allowed, in certain cases, narrow cases, access to federal criminal history records that are transferred to the agency by that communication network. The contractor must pass a background check as prescribed in this particular portion. Section 7 recognizes the needs for the Youth Intervention Program. We sometimes call it the YIP program or YIPA. Right now, YIPA, in order to get funding from the state, they have to have a matching donation from private sources. This is a temporary provision that recognizes the difficulty of the COVID-19 dilemma that we have. We know that that's affecting donations to a lot of nonprofit organizations, and this particular program, the Youth Intervention Program, is affected also by the kind of the diminished or the chilling effect of private donations to it, which affects their total budget. This particular provision waives that requirement during this established emergency status that the state is currently in. Section 8 recognizes an obsolete Ramsey County Corrections Department provision. It repeals an existing law. This is introduced by Senator Lane, and this is part of a Ramsey County initiative. There has been some recent confusion about the old law as the county and district courts have established. They're requesting the repealer of the old law that is now obsolete to clarify their distinct responsibilities that currently exist. And Madam Chair, I believe that summarizes the entire provision. I'll wait for third reading.
Thank you, Senator Limmer. Further discussion on the A3 amendment, Senator Bigham. All right, thank you very much for that clarification. We are ready then for third reading. All right. On the A3 amendment, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed? We'll now pause for a few moments to wait for votes from the other areas. Okay. There being sufficient votes, the A3 amendment is passed and adopted. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we will proceed to third reading.
Senate File Number 3258, a bill for an act relating to civil law.
Third reading. Further discussion to Senate File 3258 as amended. Senator Bigham.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, this is a good bill. It's a fine bill. I plan on supporting it, but I'm disappointed in a couple things. Bills that passed last year overwhelmingly with bipartisan support aren't included in it, such as my bill, again, very bipartisan bill to extend the officers' Bill of Rights to county correctional officers. That really should be offered to our county correction officers that work very hard in our jails and should have the same protections as police officers in that realm. The other one that we really worked hard on and just is so very important is protecting our first responders, our law enforcement, our firefighters, our paramedics during a peer counseling or CSIM debriefing. This allows them to get some of what they experience off their shoulders, off their chest, so that they can process what they see, because they can't unsee a lot of what they see every day. They go from call to call to call, and these a lot of times are some of the worst situations that are unimaginable to those us in the room, except for those that are in that occupation. It's very difficult, and their cup gets so full, and then it overflows. And we've seen a spike in suicides among our heroes and our law enforcement and firefighters, paramedics. We need to give them the resources to protect them. And I'm disappointed we weren't able to, one, get a hearing in the committee to continue to work on this, but that it really was such an important piece that had no fiscal note, and had one stop, and so it's really disappointing we weren't able to get that across the line. And I appreciate the efforts and the communication in a bipartisan manner with both the House and the Senate to try and get it done. But know that next year it will be one of the first ones off the gates and a lot of pressure on it. I appreciate Commissioner Harrington and Attorney General Ellison's support for it, along with the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers, the Minnesota Sheriffs, and the Minnesota Police Chiefs. So thank you, members.
Thank you, Senator Bingham. Members, any further discussion? Senator Ingebrigtsen.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Senator Limmer, for bringing this forward. This is a good bill. It addresses a lot of good issues. To Senator Bingham's issue, I personally want to thank her for working on the issues she just described, and her and I have been with this most recent situation that our state is in, had certainly an interesting time to try and get anything across the line. And however, I know it's very important, but it does still need some real work. It needs some legal eyes to look at it, and members, I'm certainly committed to work with her further next year, as she said, moving forward, because these agencies throughout the state do support this, and they are dealing with some real issues. Madam President and members, I would like to just comment on the conservation officer movement here with regards giving them an authority, and in the it's been written that and discussed that this came from an old time in our history when conservation officers weren't looked at as the same as law enforcement officers. Members, I came from that era. That era was just starting to move away when I was probably in the middle of my career back in the 80s and 90s. And since then, the CO officers have been trained very well. In fact, I believe this last training that they went through, there were several very experienced law enforcement officers that were actually hired and are now COs, conservation officers here in Minnesota. So they're very capable of doing diagnosis, if you will, and understanding the DWI process. And yes, they run across a lot of them, as you can imagine, coming off the lake or even going on the lake, or sometimes even while boating. And you talk about something that's very dangerous, that is. And it was very cumbersome, the other process. So thank you to Senator Clausen and Johnson and Senator Limmer for bringing that forward. And that's really all I have, other than the fact that it's a very good public safety bill.
Thank you, Senator Ingebrigtsen. Any further discussion? Senator Limmer, for closing comments?
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, in closing comments, I want to thank Senator Bingham for bringing that issue forward. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 intrusion into our state certainly hampered the effort of a great number of committees. Almost 5 weeks have gone by, and we've had to rely on Zoom counseling or conferencing, and it's made it very difficult in order to confer on very complicated issues that get involved in judiciary matters. However, Senator Bingham brings forward a very current issue and one that we should be addressing, and I'm sure we will in the near future. Thank you, Senator Ingebrigtsen, for giving us your history, being a former law enforcement professional. I'd like to thank you for that comment as well. In conclusion, this particular bill is a reflection of a bipartisan effort. Whenever it comes to law enforcement or the judiciary matters and public safety, our work is never done. We have rising illicit crime in the state of Minnesota. We have the complexities to our public safety first responders that are putting unique challenges to them and to our budgets in this area. Our Department of Corrections has been hit not only with COVID-19, but also other administrative responsibilities that are challenging on all fronts. But nevertheless, for the circumstances that we were faced with this year, this reflects a very good combination of effort by both Republican, Democrat, and governor's office and the governor's administration. In closing, we have staff that has just done tremendous amount of work in very complex areas with the whole problem of not meeting face to face. And I'd like to thank some of them, well, all of them, Linnea Michelson and Angela Cook, their SRC, Senate Republican Caucus researcher and administrator, Ms. Jackie Clinton, who is the DFL researcher on our committee, and of course our nonpartisan staff, Ken Backus, Preya Premo, and Chris Turner. And and I have to thank Emily Lefholtz, the governor's legislative liaison, who has helped keep us sane and put us back on track so often. So I'd like to thank them. And Madam Chair, I'll conclude my comments. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Senator Limmer. Any further discussion? Seeing no discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. The retiring room shall come vote. Capitol Room 303 can come vote. That's a bit larger room. 303 is larger. Sure. I'm fine. No problem. Yeah, you get comfortable in this spot. Gather all my stuff and nest together. I'm good. Oh, for presenting my bill. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Yes, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm last on the agenda, so. The President's office can come to vote. Capitol 206 can come to vote. Capitol 237 can come to vote. Okay. Capitol 323 can come to vote. Sure. Okay. Okay. Thanks. What's the next one? Under Rule 40.7, I will call on Senator Kent to report the votes. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Madam President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Aye for Senator Carlson.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Aye for Senator Clausen. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Aye for Senator Eaton. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Hayden.
Senator Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. Thank you. I'll go to Senator Gazelka to report the votes.
Senator Bruce Anderson votes aye.
Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Rosen votes aye.
Senator Rosen votes aye. There being 67 ayes, 0 nays, the bill, Senate File 3258, as amended, is adopted. Secretary will close the roll. All right. Yeah. For next bill under consideration on special orders, House File 4285 on General Orders Number 87, Senator Weber.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the amendment made to House File number 4285 by the Committee on Rules and Administration in the report adopted May 13, 2020, pursuant to Rule 45, be stricken.
On that motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We will pause to gather votes. There being a sufficient number of votes, the motion is passed. Senator Weber.
Thank you, Madam President.
House File 4285 is the Ag Policy Bill, which has been agreed to, and we basically started out with the policy changes that were requested by the department, and we've added various things to it. The main highlights of the bill that I'd like to comment on today, first one deals with the repeal of the wholesale producers dealership license and bonding requirements. All the parties involved indicated that there are seldom any claims and that, quite frankly, the cost of the bonding is more than what it is worth, and therefore all parties agreed to it being removed. We create a seed program advisory committee which will assist the commissioner in determining and restricting noxious weed seeds. We require certification of the industrial hemp seeds. We have had an issue with our industrial hemp program whereby sometimes the product that has been produced exceeds the 0.3% of the THC level, and that crop has to be destroyed. That obviously isn't the fault of the producer. Therefore, we're ensuring and testing the seeds that come to ensure the parent stock does not exceed that level. In addition, we're requiring growers and processors, commercial processors, to have licenses to raise or process for commercial purposes industrial hemp, and it extends the rulemaking authority that was originally given in the pilot program. The federal government improved industrial hemp late in 2018, and we expected that the department would have guidance from the federal level earlier, but it did not arrive till late 2019. Therefore, we are extending the rulemaking capability of the department for an additional 2 years to June 30th of 2022. We are also, it creates a working group that will advise MDA as to the development and implementing of programs for emerging farmers, and it increases the micro loan program from RFA for emerging farmers from $10,000 to $20,000. It provides a modification of membership for MALC, which is the Minnesota Agricultural Education Leadership Council. It provides technical changes and deletes obsolete references to the legislative committees and replaces them with general references of those legislative committees, both in agriculture and education, which have representation on this board. It also modifies some grain dealer license language that included last year. The number of days with which they needed to provide written confirmation of oral sales was 10, and we have now extended that to 30 to make it more practical for that requirement to be met. We are also within this bill providing immunity to veterinarians who in the course of their practice and professional responsibilities report suspected animal cruelty. And we also are providing clarification of the $5 million for the innovative soybean processing research facility at the Ag Innovation Campus at the University of Minnesota in Crookston. Those are the basic elements of this bill, as well as some associated things as deals with egg coolers and pet food and all the necessary things that are covered by the Department of Ag and the Ag Policy Bill. With that, Madam Chair, I stand ready to field any questions that the body may have.
Thank you, Senator Weber. Any further discussion? Senator Matthews.
Thank you, Madam President. I have the A50 Amendment.
We have the A50 Amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Matthews moves to amend House File number 4285 as follows, page 41 after line 3 insert. This is the A50 Amendment.
Senator Matthews, to your amendment.
Thank you, Madam President. I am going to introduce this amendment to describe this issue that's going on and then plan to withdraw it, Madam President. But Amendment A50 was a bill that I've been working on all 4 years that I have been privileged to serve in this body for cottage food producers. I have several that are in my district that have been working on building up homemade products that they've built a customer base of those that want to sell because they do such excellent work in crafting the foods and the goods that they've produced. And there is a growing movement around the country for some more freedoms and more protections in place for those that want to step up and have either a small side business or a larger home business in the cottage food industries. And we have run into roadblocks with the Department of Agriculture with trying to move forward on getting this provision forward. Even though this is opening up in many other states all over the country, we're still stuck here in Minnesota. So the A50 Amendment is an agreement that we were close to reaching this year. We were finally able to have a really good sit-down discussion with stakeholders and folks from the department, and there's basically two main points that need to be worked out. Number one, there's a push for the ability to have some LLC protections for these folks to be able to form an LLC corporation and have some business protections as they move forward in growing their products. And secondly, that's the first part of the amendment. Secondly, the main issue is figuring out what a limitation on the caps of their annual sales should be. Right now, it's capped at about $18,000, which is a very low number for the amount that these folks are able to grow to. So we were trying to work this out. It's been difficult to get the department to work on this over the years. The stakeholders have talked about how they've tried reaching out. They've had these discussions. The department says they're trying to work with them, and it feels like it's just dragging their feet and not really making any substantive movement on it. So we kind of had a handshake agreement on what LLC formation might look like, which is represented in the first part of this amendment. The department was then going to work on crafting specific language on something they could probably accept on their side that would still have the necessary safeguards and precautions so that legitimate businesses can step up and utilize this, and it wouldn't open loopholes for this to be used in fraudulent areas by those that don't have a legitimate interest in cottage food industry. The department was not able to get back to us with language. We were about to have a hearing on this bill when the coronavirus situation hit and threw our whole schedule haywire. So understandably, they've been real busy and have not gotten back to it. So the first part of the amendment is the draft of how we understand the agency's concerns over what this LLC formation should look like. And then the second part is raising the cap up to $72,000, which we need to work on in a future year on making sure that there is a strong, usable, and livable amount to allow these cottage food producers to become a legitimate business. So, Madam President, I thought that we were going to be close this year on making this happen. Unfortunately, we fell a little bit short, some of it due to circumstances outside of our control. But I wanted to stand here and share this and let the agency know I'm going to require them to come forward and have a good faith effort to get to an agreement that we can finish and get across the finish line, hopefully next session. We came a long ways here this year. We're going to keep working on this language, and I want this effort to be in good faith where we move forward on actually not just keep dragging them along and hearing out their concerns and then not really doing anything and continuing this frustration that's been ongoing. But we need to get this across the finish line. We need to get these people able to set up these businesses and get this moving. Madam President, it would have been a great year to do it this year. Now with the coronavirus situation, the food supply has taken a big hit. We are all hearing that of the impact that this is going to have in many different areas. And I think that cottage food producers could have been a tool that could have helped bridge the gap with the food supply and whatever size hit that we are going to take. I think cottage food producers could have played a role in the help for the recovery phase of this year. Unfortunately, we fell a little bit short. But I want the department to know, as long as I'm here, and Lord willing, I get the privilege to come back here again next year, we're going to push for this, and we're going to try to get this across the finish line, because this is a legitimate area of concern that needs to be addressed. This is moving across the nation, and Minnesota can't be an outlier in this case. So With that, Madam President, I want to thank you for the time. I will withdraw the A50 amendment, but I want the agency to know that hopefully next year we're going to get this done.
Senator Matthews withdraws the A50 amendment. Any further discussion to House File 4285? Senator Abler.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move the A1 amendment.
The Secretary will report the A1 amendment.
Senator Abler moves to amend House File number 4285 as follows, page 54 after line 9 insert. This is the A1 amendment.
Senator Abler, to your amendment.
Thank you, Madam President, and I appreciate Senator Weber for bringing this bill forward. It's got a lot of good things for greater Minnesota and the agricultural economy. We have long since been aware that some of the challenges there, I don't live there, but I had the privilege to visit a lot of those places over the years. And some of the challenges there relative to farmer mental health and suicide have been legendary. And in every mental health bill we've had, we put something in there for farmer mental health and the challenges that they face. And there's a lot of anecdotes, Madam President, about the impact of COVID on greater Minnesota, but as I thought about this, also on the rest of Minnesota as well. And it occurred to me that it would be helpful if the county boards and social service agencies would begin to collect this information, which is what this amendment calls for, that we would conduct a COVID-19 response impact assessment. And so how has our response to COVID made a difference? Just last night, the governor opened up Main Street in up to 50%, which was a great idea. For my district, which has some agricultural land in it, that was relieving, but why did they have to close in the first place? And so I have businesses that are closed, that are never going to open again because someone thought it made sense to protect. In greater Minnesota, there's even more places that were never risky places. And so, Madam President, that makes an impact on these families. Just in today's St. Paul paper, the editorial says, Corona's next victim, mental health. And I'm afraid that as this goes on, that there's going to be many, many consequences. And so it's my interest that we could try to track this. And so the amendment just briefly says the assessment of this COVID-19 response impact assessment should cover the impacts of county business and service shutdowns on the incidence of mental health concerns, family child abuse, and suicide. And it would look at these different settings, including agriculture. So, Madam President, I talked to Senator Weber about this, and there's an agreement on the bill. What I'm going to do is actually get this jacketed and attempt to move this through the process. I do believe we need to know, and I think the news is going to be shattering. Right now it's anecdotal. We hear that there's a lot of things. My ER friends talk about people coming in actually attempting suicide, not a cry for help, both in greater Minnesota and here. And so it's really on my mind. And so as we go forward, as we even open up the things that are safe to open, the rest of them, there's still going to be a huge impact on these families, both in greater Minnesota. And I didn't bring this to belabor and lengthen the debate, except to call attention to this very important thing. I'm charged with that part of the state budget, Madam President, as you are with me. So with that, I will politely withdraw the amendment, and thank you for the time to present this really big problem. Thank you.
Senator Abler withdraws the A1 amendment. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, the Secretary will we will go to third reading. The Secretary will report the bill for third reading.
House File number 4285, a bill for an act relating to agriculture.
Third reading. I will now look for further discussion. Senator Herr.
Thank you, Madam President. I stand in support of the House File 4285. Although the provision in this bill is not necessarily COVID-19 related, but the technical change and flexibility in terms of perishable food and farm safety language will be a big help during this time and beyond. I want to thank Senator Weber for hearing the grain-based safety bill. I heard from Senator Friends, who represent Mankato just recently, that we lost 10 lives this year over the grain-based accident. So I really appreciate that, Senator Weber. One provision that I wish that would be in this bill is the amendment on cottage food producer. I'm a co-author with Senator Matthew on that because I see the benefit of it too for members in my district and in the metro area. It would be good to have the cottage food producer language here in this bill during our stressful time, as Senator Matthew already mentioned in some degree. Food preparation actually relieves stress, but what's more important is that we allow opportunity for the cottage food producer to earn money or help circulate cash flow in our micro economy. And the amendment would have enhanced opportunity for cottage food producer to build small businesses that could actually provide for their family. The creativeness and skill preparing and selling home process and home process and home canned food should be considered an enhancement to our communities. We have heard a lot in the recent weeks about small businesses, and I'm still continue to fight for our micro businesses. But at the same time, we're going to pass this legislation, the Ag Policy Bill, and the reason I'm joining in conversation in third reading because I'm the lead minority in the Ag Policy Committee. The cottage food legislation I mentioned has bipartisan support, and I will continue to work with Senator Matthew and MDA, Commissioner Peterson, and our advocates of cottage food producer and find a solution whether during special session or next year. So thank you, and I want to encourage members to support this bill.
Thank you, Senator Herr. Any further discussion? See no further discussion. Senator Weber, to your bill.
Thank you, Madam President. I certainly want to thank Senator Herr as the ranking minority member on the committee for the assistance that he has given. I wish to thank my Vice Chair, Senator Goggin, and certainly all the staff members that are so necessary to us to conduct our committee work. That being my CLA, Alec Bjorn, Committee Administrator Joel Hansen, and Researcher Andrew Larson. Also, the nonpartisan staff are always a vital part for our committees as they provide us some historical context to what has happened previously in our committees and how the bills that we hear will affect the general legislative intent and process of the state of Minnesota. With that, I just want to comment on the issues that were raised. Certainly, we are looking at tough times in the agricultural sector right now. We've had some down years previously, but certainly the issues that have been created by COVID continue to create issues with the supply chain and, as a result, with our producers. We will probably have another bill that we will be listening to, bringing over from the House. But we will also be working on a number of projects for next year as well. And with that, Madam President, I thank everyone for their attention and encourage everyone to vote for this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Weber. This is final passage of House File 4285. The Secretary will take the roll. I'll call in the retiring room to come cast your vote. I will call on Capital 303 to come cast your vote. I'll call on the President's office to come vote. Capital 206, come to vote. Capital 237, come to vote. Capital 323, come to vote. Senator, under Senate Rule 40.7, I will call on Senator Kent to report the votes.
Thank you, Madam President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Hayden.
Senator Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye.
I will call now on Senator Gazelka to report the vote. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Bruce Anderson votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Rosen votes aye.
Senator Rosen votes aye. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, House File 4285 is adopted. Our next bill to consider is House File 627 on General Orders Number 11. Senator Ingebrigtsen, to your bill.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the amendment made to House File 627 by the Committee on Rules and Administration in the report adopted May 13, 2020, pursuant to Rule 45 be stricken.
Senator Ingebrigtsen, will you please explain the motion you are making, please? Give us a little bit more information on the motion.
You know, I'm just going with the House language, yes, sir. That's what it is.
On Senator Ingebrigtsen's motion, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will pause to count the votes. The motion prevails. Senator Ingebrigtsen.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. House File 627 is titled The Eyewitness Identification Procedures. First of all, I want to thank Senator Latz, Dietzick, and Hall for working with me on this particular bill. Members, this is about eyewitness lineups, if you will. This concept was brought forward by the Innocent Project, an organization that works with to exonerate innocent persons from crimes they did not commit. Mistaken witness identification played a role in 71% of the nation's first 350 DNA exonerations, making it the leading contributing factor to wrongful convictions in these cases. 42% of those cases involved cross-racial mistaken identifications. Misidentifications harm the innocent and certainly threaten public safety. Folks, if the right person isn't and doesn't answer for the crime, that person goes back on the street. The bill before you, just a real quick description, I think it's pretty straightforward. Subdivision 1, it talks about Chief Law Enforcement Officer, the Post Board putting together a policy. And included in that is number 1, a person administrating a live or photogenic lineup be unaware of the suspect's identity. Or if that is not practical, the administrator use a photographic lineup that prevents the administrator from seeing which member of the photographic lineup is being viewed by the witness at a given time. Number 2, before the procedure, the eyewitness be instructed that the perpetrator may or may not be in the lineup. Number 3, non-suspect fillers used in the lineup be substantially similar to the eyewitness description of the perpetrator. Of course, that's a pretty common sense piece of legislation there. Number 4, immediately after the identification is made, the eyewitness provide a statement in the eyewitness's own words that articulates the level of the eyewitness's confidence in the identification. Subdivision 2, police agencies required February 1st, 2021, the chief law enforcement officer of every state and local law enforcement agency shall adopt and implement a written policy on eyewitness identification practices that is identical or substantially similar to the model developed under Subdivision 1. Admissibility of evidence in Subdivision 3. Nothing in this section is intended to preclude the admissibility of any relevant evidence or to affect the standards governing the admissibility of evidence under United States or Minnesota's Constitution. Members, I stand for question. It's pretty straightforward. It's very shocking statistics there that 71% that were involved in the DNA testing-based exonerations is pretty telling, and this is certainly going to help make a not-so-perfect system a little bit better.
Any further discussion on House File 627? Seeing none, Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File number 627, a bill for an act relating to public safety.
Third reading. Any further comments? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in room 323, please come down to vote. Members in 237, come to the chamber to vote, please. Capital 206, come to the chamber to vote, please. Members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Capital 303, come to the chamber to vote, please. Okay. 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 And members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Did room 323 come to vote yet? If not, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 323. Okay. Okay, sure. Under Rule 40.7, Senator Kent, do you have the votes of the members that are voting remotely?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Members, can we have some quiet, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent?
Mr. President,
Excuse me. I can't hear you either. Can we have some quiet, please, members? Okay.
Mr. President.
Senator Kent, let's start over.
Mr. President, my first report is that Senator Carlson votes aye.
Carlson votes aye.
I report
Senator Kent.
aye for Senator Clausen.
Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Eaton.
Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Friends votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Hayden.
Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Marty votes aye. Senator Kent. Members, can we please have some quiet in the chamber? We're in a really important voting motion here. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Marty votes aye.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Kent. Senator Gazelka, excuse me.
President Tomasoni,
Yes,
Senator Bruce Anderson votes aye.
I like that. If you could do that again if you'd like. Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Dames votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Hall votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Newman votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Gazelka.
And Mr. President Tomasoni, Senator Rosen votes aye.
Rosen votes aye. All senators having voted, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and is title agreed to. Next on the agenda is House File 4429, Senator Draheim is coming. Senator Draheim.
Thank you, President.
Senator Draheim, you have a motion?
I'm sorry. I, Senator Draheim, move that the amendment made to House File 4429 by the Committee of Rules and Administration in the report adopted May 13th of 2020 pursuant to Rule 45 be stricken.
On that motion, all in favor? We
Aye.
will go out for the votes. Say aye.
Aye.
We are pausing to count the votes in the alcoves. Motion prevails. Senator Draheim on the bill.
Thank you, President. House File 4429 makes modifications to two programs. First is the Pay for Performance Job Training Program, and the second is Senator Housley's Displaced Homemaker program. My bill portion of this House file modifies the criteria that must be met in order to consider a qualified job training program under the Pay for Performance Job Training Grant statute. The amount that a qualified program is required to spend per participant is now lowered, so more programs will qualify. It is capped at $5,500. The education training that a program like this must offer is also changed to include fiscal and digital literacy to prepare the people using these programs for a long-term success in a job. And then the last part of it is the 2-year follow-up in the program. President Tomassoni, if I could, I would like to have Senator Housley come speak to her portion of the bill.
Senator Housley.
Thank you, President Tomassoni. My portion of the bill, it has to do with the Minnesota Displaced Homemakers. It's a network of 6 service providers across the state providing stabilization and pre-employment services to individuals, both male and female, who need to re-enter the workforce due to abandonment, divorce, death, or disability of the spouse. It's an amazing organization that's been around for 41 years, providing leadership programs, extra education, additional life skills and workshops, and support resources to help re-employ these folks. But after 41 years, it's time for a name change. Homemaker is a bit antiquated, so the organization has wanted to change its name, and that's the language that's in this bill, to the Minnesota Family Resiliency Partnership. They will still provide the same great services and programs. I want to thank everybody that testified over the years and shared your real-life stories. And I know they would like to thank everybody here in the legislature for what we have done for them. So thank you.
Senator Draheim.
I just urge a green vote on this. And, you know, what we're trying to do here is use our money wisely to train people. A lot of the people that use this program come out of prisons, returning citizens, and they need to be placed in a career path job, but they also need the training to succeed, and we want them to succeed. So once again, I urge a green vote. Thank you.
Any further discussion on House File 4429? Seeing none, the Secretary will give House File 4429 its third reading.
House File Number 4429, a bill for an act relating to economic development.
Third reading. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members from Capitol 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Oof. You still have good balance, Doc. Members in Capitol 303, come to the chamber to vote, please. Members in Capitol 237. Well, retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Capitol 323, please come to the chamber to vote.
Came early, is that okay?
No. You're breaking the rules. What the hell? Senator Kent, under Rule 40.7, would you like to report your members' votes?
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Friends votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Hayden.
Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Marty votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator... Who's doing the... Senator Benson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Dames votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Hall votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Newman votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Rosen votes aye.
Senator Rosen votes aye. Senator Benson.
That completes my list, Mr. President.
All senators having voted, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill on special orders, Bill number 92 on general orders, House File 4605. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I move that the amendment made to House File 4605 by the Committee on Rules and Administration in the report adopted May 13, 2020, pursuant to Rule 45, be stricken.
On the Kiffmeyer motion, Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. To this motion, members, we are accepting the House language in this motion. I will describe what is included in this language that we are proposing here. And so the subject of this particular bill is submission of documents or signatures electronically, by mail, or by fax. So in this bill, realizing that the subject of these particular documents would be planning and zoning applications and permits under chapters 394 and 462, land use documents under Minnesota Statutes Chapter 505, documents requiring a signature under 326, applications for birth and death certificates under Section 144, and also recording a notary commission. This is involved and is directly needed because of this time of COVID, as so many of our bills are. As we all know, there are many records that oftentimes you need to do in-person. And you also need what's called a wet signature. That means an actual person with a pen and ink in front of another one and signing a document. Obviously, during this particular time, we are unable to do that, especially when you realize that getting copies of death certificates during this time, and especially when we're so restricted, it's been very, very important to be able to continue to do this work for our families. Just to let you know that current law 325L, the Uniform Electronic Transaction Act, does allow for signatures, digital signatures. However, there are exceptions. And so these particular items that I've mentioned in this bill are those exceptions, and we have worked together with the Bar Association, with the Association of Minnesota Counties, county recorders, and so many other stakeholders. The House and Senate have worked together in a bipartisan fashion. Thank you to Sherburne County, to all the stakeholders and the staff. And to clarify, this bill allows, it is permissive, it is not mandatory. This is in particular for our counties. Some are able, want to do this, need to do it, but it is not mandatory. There is no fiscal cost. They will continue the stringent verification of identity and signatures using existing legal proven tools. This does not relax the standards. It keeps the integrity of all of these documents. It just facilitates the processing of them. The counties expect that through this, they will not only retain the current integrity of these documents, but they believe because of this methodology, it will increase it. This does not include anything with driver's license, passports, or other such documents. This will continue to be required as in current law. Public health, corrections, also not in this bill. And the marriage licenses frequently asked and already passed. And to let you know, already there are marriage applications being done on that recently passed bill. So members, I ask for your support and your yes vote, and I will stand for any questions, Mr. President.
Senator Kiffmeyer renews her motion that the amendment made to House File 4605 by the Committee on Rules and Administration in the report adopted May 13, 2020, pursuant to Rule 45, be stricken. On that motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. We will take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Members, we are now on House File 4605. Senator Kiffmeyer did do a nice job of explaining it already. Further discussion, Senator Kiffmeyer?
Yes, Mr. President, I'm ready for a discussion. I wanted to be sure members knew the subject of the bill and more detail on what they're voting for, but I'm prepared for questions or any other discussion. Thank you.
Members, is there any discussion on the bill before we go to third reading? I'm told that there's an amendment at the desk for Senator Curran. If we can just get some indication on whether or not he would like to offer that. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will give House File 4605 its third reading.
House File number 4605, a bill for an act relating to local government.
Third reading. Final discussion on the bill. Senator Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate this bill so much because what this will do is give a lot of flexibility to our counties, our cities, and our townships. And I appreciate the collaborative effort with Senator Kiffmeyer on the allowing marriage applications to be online. We should continue to allow our local governments to have this flexibility. We need to be thinking long-term, members, about our fiscal strength going forward, and anything we can do to allow them to save money and improve efficiencies is something that we should continue to do. One thing that I hope in the future we look at is allowing this, for a lot of other different things that this bill doesn't include, but for now this is going to be extremely helpful. I also think we need to look at elections and making sure that townships in the metro area get to mail in just like townships in the greater Minnesota area. So there are a lot of things I think we can work on together in a bipartisan manner to make counties, cities, townships more efficient and save money for the taxpayers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Final discussion on the bill. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I've explained this bill, and I just ask for your yes vote. Thank you.
Members, we're on final passage of House File 4605. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 303, please come to the chamber to vote. And members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 323, please come to the chamber to vote. And members in room 237, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Excuse me, members, we're under a roll call vote. Please take your conversations outside the chamber. I will now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Frentz.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Hayden.
Senator Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Marty.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I will now call on Senator Benson to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Benson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Rosen votes aye.
Senator Rosen votes aye. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, working off an addendum, we're going to remain under motions and resolutions and move to the fifth order of business, reports of committees. Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee reports printed in the addendum be adopted.
On that motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. We'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Remaining under motions and resolutions, we'll move to the sixth order of business, second reading of Senate bills. The Secretary will read the Senate file numbers.
Senate file numbers 3226, 4130, and 3085.
These Senate files are given their second reading. Remaining under motions and resolutions, before I go to Senator Gazelka to recess, Senator Herr has an announcement.
Mr. President, thank you. I want to take this moment to acknowledge the significance of today, May 14th. Per May being the Asian American Heritage Month, one of our official Minnesota state holiday is the Hmong Special Guerrilla Unit's Remembrance Day on May 14th, which we passed last year in the Senate and the House and signed by Governor Tim Walz. And the Hmong Special Guerrilla Unit Remembrance Day on May 14 is to commemorate the service and sacrifice of Hmong veterans and thousands of people and families that lost their lives during the conflict of the Secret War in Laos from 1961 to 1975 and afterward. I owe the Hmong SGU for my survival, and they are the reason that I'm here as a contributing citizen of the United States of America. And they are the reason veterans like Senator Ralph and Senator Newton, my seatmate here, and your family members and other Vietnam veterans able to come home alive. And the Hmong SGU are the reason bodies of many POW and MIA are uncovered and were uncovered in Laos and Southeast Asia. So, Mr. President, I'd like to thank the Hmong SGU with our moment of silence as requested.
Members, please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you, members. Further announcements, Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question about the Senate Republicans' capital investment bill, and I don't see Senator Senjum on the floor. So I'm wondering if Senator Gazelka would yield to a question.
Senator Gazelka will yield. Senator Pappas.
Senator Gazelka, the governor released his bonding bill several months ago. The Senate Democrats created a bonding bill and released that last week, as did the House majority. I'm wondering what the status is of the Senate bonding bill by Senate Republicans.
Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Pappas, you know that the bonding bill originates from the House, but we are trying to work with the House right now, in particular, and the governor, about what is the number that we want to do. I have publicly said that I think we should try to get one done this session. There's been some conversations from the other body about not getting one done, but it feels like it's beginning to open up a little bit, which is sort of a good idea, considering we don't have a lot of time left. But I would also recommend you circle back to Senator Senjum. I will as well on your behalf to see what the status is. But it appears that there's some movement now at the end, which was going to be part of my closing comments.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Gazelka, I didn't mean to usurp your closing comments. However, I do have a concern, as we only have 3 days left, and there's been a lot of discussion on the floor of the Senate from the majority party about jobs, and reopening the economy and concerns about jobs. And I share that concern. And one of the major ways that we have as a legislature, as a government, to stimulate the economy and to put people back to work is with a robust bonding bill. And it concerns me that here we are in the final days of the session, and the Capital Investment Committee has met 2 or 3 times during the last year, I think twice during this session. I believe the House has met 43 times on capital investment issues. The interest rates are low, the bids are competitive, billions of dollars of backlog. I think there were $5 billion in request, and this concerns every corner of the state has a bonding request. Almost every community, every county in the state has a bonding request. And I'm afraid the record here at the legislature has not been very good the last couple years. Last year, the Senate majority didn't do a bonding bill. I think in 2016, when the Senate Republicans were in the minority, they wouldn't vote for a bonding bill. We didn't have a bonding bill in 2016. So the backlog is huge. When you look at transportation, housing, higher education, natural resources, public safety, the list goes on about the need for a bonding bill. So, Mr. Majority Leader, I hope that you have more positive words for us. I hate doing this at the last minute. The lack of transparency is really terrible. We should be having open committees and open conference committee process like in the old days. And you know, I've been around here a long time, so there were old days. But please give us some good words that we're going to have a robust bonding bill yet before the end of this session.
I have Senator Kiffmeyer and then Senator Cohn. Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. In regards to a bonding bill, I think there's a lot of good support for roads and bridges and construction. There are just so many good things. I think that's very appropriate. But I would say that let's remember, though, that the bar owners, the salon workers, restaurants, those jobs, what about those jobs? What about those folks? They're not likely to be in construction unless they're expanding or building, which I think is highly unlikely at this time, considering they're not even able to go in and do their work. And so, Mr. President, I appreciate that, and yes, there is a certain segment of jobs that we can look forward to in this, and absolutely see many, many good things like that. But for these other folks, sadly, those kinds of jobs are the ones that we really need help right now. Thank you, Mr. President.
Members, just a reminder, we're on announcements of Senate interest. Senator Cohn.
Mr. President, would Senator Gazelka yield?
Senator Gazelka will yield. Senator Cohn.
Mr. President and Senator Gazelka, I listened to the comments you made in answer to Senator Pappas. Certainly agree with Senator Pappas's her comments relative to the bonding bill. I'm curious, given what you said, when do you expect to have a conference committee appointed relative to the bonding bill?
Senator Cohn, please repeat the question.
I'm sorry, when do you expect to have a conference committee appointed relative to the bonding bill?
Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Cohn, you know that every chair works a bit differently and every session works a bit differently. We're asking them to move forward. Whether what approach they take, I cannot speak for that. But I will also answer Senator Pappas' question as well. We're going to have a bonding bill. I'm committed to making sure that we get one done, and we're going to make sure that we open up the economy and get everything up and running, which is Senator Kiffmeyer's question.
And just a reminder, members, the House has to pass a bonding bill before a conference committee can be formed, and I don't believe the other chamber has passed the bonding bill. But Senator Cohn, further announcements?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm aware of that. And I was just curious as to whether or not the majority leader, maybe I should ask the question in a somewhat different way, understanding that a bonding bill is required to be a House file, in your work with House counterparts, do you expect we'll have a conference committee appointed relative to the bonding bill? And I understand, Mr. President, Senator Gazelka, that this is a highly unusual session, a unique session, a somewhat tragic session. I'm just wondering procedurally if you expect to have a conference committee. We didn't have one 2 years ago. I'm wondering if we expect to have one this year.
Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Cohn, bonding bills are never a guarantee. I know they didn't happen in 2016. We did get one done in, I believe, 2018. I believe we'll get one done in 2020. But this has been a very unique session, without a doubt. I've been encouraging the House to move forward on a bonding bill for a number of weeks. I've never changed my message that it's important that we get a robust bonding bill. I believe we will still get that, in addition to some tax provisions to help some of these small businesses that are hurting, and maybe a few other things. But to me, one of our number one priorities this session is to get a bonding bill done, and how it's going to play out depends on when it breaks forth, and I've been encouraging all four bodies to try to move forward, and the governor to try to move forward to get it done. We shouldn't have to wait for a special session, and God willing, we won't.
Any further announcements before we go to recess? Senator Gazelka.
Yeah, and just kind of a wrap up too. Speaker Hortman and I are having a number of conversations, as I am with the governor. Senator Kent and I are trying to communicate where are we heading, and I'm also speaking to the minority leader in the House. So there's a lot of conversations going. I do think with the governor lifting the stay-at-home order, that was a step that I think brought us all closer together, which I think is really good. We're all trying to focus on COVID-19 and what do we do about getting the economy up and running safely, and so that seems to be moving, which then I think triggers all the other things that we want to get done. And so that's what's happening right now. And then as far as for going forward today, we're going to recess. I don't expect any further votes today. Senate should expect to be in session tomorrow at 11. Finance Committee will meet at 1:30. Health and Human Services will meet 15 minutes after Finance. Rules meeting time is to be determined. Look for your email on that. And with that, Mr. President, I move that we recess to the call of the President.
Senator Gazelka moves that the Senate recess to the call of the President. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. The motion prevails. The Senate is in recess.